So I remember my wife and I, we got to Houston. We're kind of shell shocked, like, okay, we're kind of getting used to that. And I had a dinner at my boss's house, my new boss, at his house the day before I'm starting. And so we're eating, and my wife, Shoshana, asked my boss, so, Dr. Ollier, I'm just curious, Mitch is on call for hand 24/7, except for like vacations. Is that a big deal? Because I'm the only pediatric hand surgeon covering Texas Children's. And he's like, no, 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 don't worry about it. He's like, nobody ever calls you. Like, it's like, I used to cover that for years. Nobody calls. I said, okay. So I go to bed for the first night, getting ready for the first day. And basically at 12:03 a.m., 3 minutes past midnight, technically I'm now employee of Texas Children's and Baylor. I get a phone call. And I'm thinking, okay, like, you get woken up. Hello? And they said, yeah, is this Mitch? I said, yeah. And he said, oh, it's Dave Kachoyan. He's my new partner. He's like, well, I talked to Larry, who's my new boss, and he says, you're active now. And I said, okay. He's like, they're choppering and a kid. I said, okay. And I'm thinking, there's got to be a gag. I'm still thinking in my mind, this is a gag. Who's really calling me within minutes of being on the job? This kid's being choppered in. He's a 3-year old. He fell off a lawnmower and it cut his hand off at the wrist. And I'm thinking, okay. And I'm still in denial that this is real. Still in denial. And so I'm like, well, when do you need me? And he's like, how quickly can you get here? And I said, 20 minutes. I'm still thinking, all right, at some point the gag's going to be up. It's just the haze. He's like, thanks so much. I'll see you there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. So imagine 1 minute you're the fellow, you're the trainee, and the next minute you're on and you're going. And I had not been in that operating room yet. I had a badge, and that's about it. And so literally, I'm driving towards Texas Children's Hospital, and I start emailing all of my mentors from Australia because midnight in Houston was like midday in Australia. And to their credit, I said, I got a kid choppering in, hand cut off at the wrist. What do I do? And I got all this great sage advice. They emailed me back exactly what to do. All right, you're gonna have to remove the wrist bones. You're gonna have to wire the hand back onto the radius, which is your forearm bone. Grab vein grafts because you're gonna have to reconstruct the veins in the arteries, reconstruct the nerves, connect the tendons. So they gave me the whole order of events, and I got there, and it was completely daunting. You're getting into an operating room. It's like 1 a.m. or 12:30 a.m. And it's like chaos because you're bringing a kid in who unfortunately did not have his hand on ice. And so clock's ticking because muscle that does not have blood flow, if it's warm, goes through ischemia and it basically can die out. And so there I am. I walk in the operating room hearing all this uproar. And all of a sudden I hear my partner say, oh, our hand surgeon's here. And I'm not joking. I turned around too. All right. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm not yet identifying myself as I'm the person now. I'm the one that everybody's relying on. And so you get in there, and I think it may have been 12 hours, could have been 15. We saved that kid's hand. And so we put it back on. The lawnmower had gone through the wrist, but also secondarily through the thumb around it. So the kid had a hand that needed to be put on, and then a thumb that needed to be put on the hand. So we saved the hand. The thumb died because it's like a double hit, one through here, one through the thumb. And the back of the hand, that skin was sheared off. So there I am. All right, you got to do it in steps. Get the hand back on, put a wire through it, connect veins, connect arteries, connect nerves. And then after surgery, you then build up, okay, how am I going to get the rest of the stuff? So 6 months later, instead of having a skin graft, which is just the sheet of skin that had temporized or kind of covered the hand temporarily, we transplanted tissue from his back. So skin, fat, and a blood vessel, and we're able to resurface the kid's hand, but he still had no thumb. And so 6 months later, getting into July or June, I transplanted his second toe to become his thumb. And so he essentially had his second toe now as his thumb, the skin and fat of his back resurfacing the back of his hand, and he had his hand. And while that was all going on, just in the interim of that year, I was loving the job. I had so much responsibility, and that initial first surgery, you grow a lot. You go from feeling nervous, feeling like, I don't know if I can do this. You're thrown in the fire. You just got to do it. It's like a cauldron, right? And so while got that sage advice of, not taking too much on, it was thrown at me. So you either can kind of recede and go, kind of hide, or you can step up. And even if you make mistakes or, it doesn't go perfectly right, you're going to grow from it. And that was really an important experience for me. Honestly, it kind of changed my whole trajectory because it builds confidence. Not overconfidence, but you're just feeling like I've had enough training where I know I can put my mind to this and figure this out.